that, I can crop it down.
Mhm.
So you could do the same thing with what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And if you had more time, you probably would have done that.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, and of course you lose resolution sometimes, so sometimes you do it in the really high res first, and then say you want to adjust that, you might blow it up. There's your big new thing. The other thing you do at the end is you back to format, and you go to compress. It's a different version of what I'm used to. There's a compress button. Ready? Yep. And so if you know you're only doing this for presentation, you can really get your files down small. In this case, it doesn't give me the, yeah. So they're not sensitized here. You can't select them, but you can see what I mean. If you were going to print them, they could do the highest you needed to, screen or just email. And then the other thing you can do is you can apply them to all pictures. So you probably know this, but or just this one picture. If you want to apply, make sure it crops just this one picture and minimizes it. That's great. But if you're trying to get the whole file small, then you crop both of them and you say, okay, I'll cancel it for now, so don't want to mess with it. But so I don't want to assume you do that, but that's just something you can do as well. Where is yours now? There it is. So that's great. I mean, that's a really good example. And again, you only had 12 minutes basically to know, and you didn't know anything about the context. So we could go ahead and clean this up, Eureka, make it a little brighter with the font here. You know, if
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these are important, like you did,
Yeah.
the one here may not be relevant. You just cover it up or cut it
Okay.
out. The
Yeah.
other thing I would say is go ahead and move this down a little bit. If
Yeah.
you had the possibility, just tighten it up so you have more that borderline around the whole thing.
Yeah.
If the reference is essential, go ahead and keep it. If it's not, you can kill that. But
Oh yeah, it's essential.
yeah, I figured it was. But you could even highlight that to make it bigger. And,
No, it deserves a 14 point.
okay.
Nothing more. But it has to be
Acknowledging
there.
it, but you're not showcasing it. Acknowledgement, but not showcasing. Okay. Back to the title here. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here. Let me go to this slide. And I know, and I have the same issue. Creativity is part of your process with these slides. It depends on how much you wanted to highlight the fact that there's a partnership here between University of Minnesota and,
Yeah, that's where the money came from.
so if that was really the case, you might make it big. We got $500,000 grant from, or whatever it is. You may not show the money. You might do 2 slides here too. I'm Eureka, I'm speaking today. Before I start, I want to talk about Kara. She was essential, whatever she did.
Yeah.
And also there was a whole team of other people from these three places. But for those of us who don't know anything about this presentation, we don't know, we can't tell what that green thing is. We might know what NSF is, but we can't really read it very well. IMA, I know, you were talking to people who probably know this, but
Yeah. Well, no, I explained each logo. And they kind of like the AWM, the Association for Women in Mathematics.
oh, I'm sure.
They don't have anything like that in France.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I just say I would
Oh, you
kind of
presented
do.
this in France.
Yeah.
So it was in French.
No, no, their association doesn't have money. The
Oh, I see.
American one does.
So my point is, do the one at a time element thing we we're talking about. Build these up, maybe, or consider it. It would take.
Oh,
If you're going to go ahead and explain each logo anyways, start out with a blank screen and then bring in Minnesota and then bring in this one next to it, and then bring in this one, and then bring in the green one and explain, and then bring in your name, and then bring in Kara, and then boom, you're done. You might show the overview first of all the logos and then build them up one by one.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you probably no more time. It is more slides. So if you're printing this, you wouldn't print that version.
Well,
You would-
I mean, it's not more slides, right? I can use the animation to
You can.
bring it
I
out. and-
tend not to because
Oh.
I've had that freeze up sometimes, and if you're
No, I
presenting,
don't
if you bring
have
your
a
own
problem.
computer, it's not an issue. But sometimes, the other day I gave a presentation, it was a different system, and all
Oh.
my animations were gone.
Yes, yes.
So I built them in manually.
Oh,
It's more time. That's just what I do. If I'm using tricky stuff, then that might be different. But even the ones where I do one bullet and then another bullet, those are all separate slides. I have 140 slides for a 30 slide presentation.
oh, I see. You give
literally,
Slide to slide.
I literally
see.
just go,
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a possibility.
I go duplicate slide, and
Uh-huh.
then I put a white box on this part. And I show just this first, and then the second slide is the whole thing with both of them. For example,
Oh, I see.
you know, I insert,
Never thought of that. Why? But doesn't the file get really big?
you can. Usually if it's just word, just art like I'm talking about, I
Mhm.
can't find it here. I just wanna do a little, oh, shape, there you go. Boom. This will not be big. I guarantee that will not take much space. You make a nice white. Oh, actually, you do want fill. What you don't want is line. Boom, gone. So, you reverse them. So, this is an example. So, Bingham model is, here's the equation. You talk about the equation for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Slide, the same slide, but it looks like a new slide. I mean, in my
Mhm.
case, it is a new slide, is there, boom.
Oh, okay.
So, and you can do it various ways, but that's
Yeah.
one way to do it. So it's the same deal. If you were gonna print this set of slides, you would delete that one
Sure, yeah.
and just print the 17 real slides, but you might end up with 50 actual slides doing it
Mhm.
this way. Again, this is the one element at a time concept. You might even cover up these two and just do, you know, this, and then this, and then this. It's 3 slides. If it's 3 points, right? Again, this is back to the one slide, one purpose. And that's essentially what Beth did with her solution, was take your 2 assumptions and the green portion, and split it out that way. Same idea, right?
Mhm.
You could build them up and fit them into a single slide, but in her case, she decided to split them out. All right, let's go ahead to,
The only reason why I would have I could have left the 2 assumptions on the same one, but I was having formatting issues. 'Cause,
Mhm.
yeah, so I was just like, this is the only thing I can do to make it fast.
right, exactly. And then when you have 3 hours like I do on these, then you do 3 hours of work. Oh, kill that. And kill that. Don't see that one. Okay, we're a little over time, but are you guys okay? 2 more minutes? Definitely want to get to, oops, yeah, asbestos. There it is. So here we have our original, is it the original, Beth?
I think so. I don't remember.
Just get it down a little smaller than you get in my video here, which is kind of a compromise, I know, but there it is.
Yeah, let's see which one.
So there's Beth's original. You want to talk us through what you noticed and what you did,
Oh,
Eureka?
well, I think one of the things you told us was make use of the real estate. So that's what I did. I made everything bigger. Where did it go? Oh, yeah. And
So-
then I thought because Elizabeth A. Lohman is from DEQ, that should be identified with where she comes from, because she spelled it out under her names, and it's the logo for that.
Yeah, I like that. What do you think of the all caps?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
It's not a deal breaker, but you could go with sentence case
Oh,
or
okay.
you know, the mixed case, which is a little easier to read. I mean, again, in a small room with a few of us, it's easy to read, but research shows using capital with small letters is a little easier to read. Again, it's not a deal breaker.
The reason why I did that is because it's kind of like, you know how you have a title of a document and then you have colon and then there's something a little bit more
Tagline.
attack.
Yeah.
And so the overall workshop was asbestos workshop, but my piece was the waste management.
Oh, so there might be another part on new materials or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. I see why you did that now. It makes sense. Just something that we can talk about, and you make the decision not to do
Mm-hmm.
the other suggestion.
And
What
then-
about the black background?
Oh, I thought it was okay, but I left the margin, around the size on the bottom and the top.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, you can see here, there's enough space there. I mean, you could argue, let's go ahead and move the whole thing up a little bit.
Mhm.
more just because of in this room we're okay, but this is pretty low on the screen. If you're way in the back of the room, you may not be able to see it very well. So you could play with it, of course.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
locked. Can't move it.
Enable editing.
Well, thank you. So, again, it's easy to imagine, but you could move it up a little bit, you could maybe even get it tighter, you could go, maybe compromise, make it a little smaller, but I think the idea of making it bigger is nice because it showcases it. And you're right, you're sort of explaining what DEQ is and you're showing the logo after it, so they kind of forget, oh, I got it. Now, if Beth was giving this to a group that didn't know anything about DEQ, she might even do this kind of thing. It's a little busy, but it might explain, like you explained to, some 10th grade,
Oh.
some kids, what's DEQ? Oh, well, as you can see, Virginia Department of, you may have heard this before, but here we are, DEQ. Oh, I get it. Just another way you could do it. Probably not in her audience, probably people who know this material and know what DEQ is, or at least can figure it out pretty quickly, but it makes it a little busy, so you can make the call if you want to do that or not, but that's just something you could do.
Yeah, it took me a while before I made that connection.
Did it? Even?
Yeah,
okay.
I thought, oh, she's from there.
Oh, I see, yeah. It's the same words, right?
Mhm.
Here, and here, exact same words?
Should I have DEQ if I have the logo that has it and it's spelled out?
I
I-
don't know.
I think it's nice. The logo is nice.